everyone, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Beth, also known as Bemmy's Bookshelf, and today I have my June and July reading wrap up. I've decided to combine June and July because in July I read so many books. I only read one book. Fine, it's not a problem at all, but there was no point doing a reading wrap up just for July, so I'm combining them. So we'll start off with the books that I read in June first. The first one was Burn for Burn by Jenny Han and Siobhan Vivian. Jenny Han's the author of To All the Boys I Loved Before, The Summer I Turned Pretty. Siobhan Vivian I hadn't actually heard of before, but I really enjoyed this book. I gave it 4 stars. It's about 3 girls. They're in high school and they don't know each other. They know of each other, but they don't know each other, and each one is trying to get revenge on someone for different reasons, and they decide to help each other out. It ends on such a major cliffhanger, and I wasn't expecting it, but luckily I do have the second and third book. Haven't read them yet, of course, but I do have them. It's a YA. There's not really tons of romance in it. It's more of just a YA book about friendship, revenge, high school. Easy to read. I got through it in a couple days, and I would recommend this if you are looking for a quick, easy read. Then I read All In by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is the 3rd book in the Naturals series. This book centres around Sloane and Sloane's family life, and this is my favourite book out of all of them, I think. Thinking about it now, I think this was my favourite book out of all of them. This book was so complex. I can't really obviously talk about this book too much because it's the 3rd book in a series, but if you haven't read the Naturals, please let this be your reminder to do so. Thank you. It's a YA kind of mystery thriller series about a bunch of teenagers who are recruited into the Naturals program. It's kind of like Criminal Minds for teens. The Naturals are gifted teenagers who, one of them's a natural profiler, one of them's a natural born lie detector, one of them's really good at maths, Sloane. I mean, she's more than good at maths, but you know. This one centres around her. It's a very complex book. It's not as easy to read as the others, especially for a YA, but it is so fun. This book was so fun and I enjoyed reading it so much. I think I gave it 4.75, but let me just check my Goodreads. 4.5. I gave this one 4.5. And I love trying to solve the case alongside the Naturals. I love that in all of the books. In each book there's a different case, and it's really fun trying to solve the mystery with them. I didn't read this next, but we may as well talk about Bad Blood. This is the final book in the Naturals series, apart from the novella, which I'll get onto in a moment. This is Bad Blood. It's a chunkier book, but it's the last book in the Naturals series. There's a case that's been going on throughout the whole series, and it finally unravels in this last book. The series was tied up perfectly. There was nothing more I would have wanted. I think I also gave this one a 4.5, but we will see. 4.5. I'm so sad this series is over. I got through this series so quickly. This is actually the first series I've read where I've completed the series pretty much back to back. Usually I read series months, maybe years between each other, which is awful. It's actually really awful. It's a really bad habit. But this one I read so quickly, and I read all of the books pretty much back to back. If you have not read this, I know I just said, if you haven't read it, please do, because Jennifer Lynn Barnes is such a talented writer. She makes YA books fun for adults as well, and like I said a million times, if you don't read it, you should. Then also we'll get on to 12, which is the novella. It's a short novella in the back of this book. I count it as a separate book because why not? I think I gave that 4 stars, and it was just a quick, easy case to solve alongside the Naturals program. They're in college at this point. Well, they're not in college because they're not in college, but I think they're 21 maybe. In the first books they're 17 and 18, but I think they're like 21 or 25 or something. Basically their careers have started, and there's another case going on, and it's only about 150 pages, but it was really good. I made a matcha just now, maple syrup matcha, and it's delicious. I carried on with my Hunger Games journey and I read Catching Fire. This book I love even more than the Hunger Games, and I didn't think that was possible. I am so excited to be on my Hunger Games reading journey for the first time. Oh god, The Hunger Games are one of my favourite film franchises, and the books are slowly becoming my favourite book franchise as well. I just am enjoying this so much. I cannot wait to start Mockingjay because I haven't read Mockingjay yet. And then I can't wait to read Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, and then Sunrise on the Reaping's gonna come out next year. Oh my god, I'm so excited. I'm literally grinning ear to ear. You know what Hunger Games is about, you know what Catching Fire is about. Katniss and Peter get thrown into the Hunger Games again. It's the third call to quell, you know the business. We love this book. 5 stars all day long, no doubt in my mind, no hesitation. This will always be 5 stars. Even if I didn't enjoy it, it'll be 5 stars, let's be honest. But I did enjoy it. Then I listened to Daisy Jones and the Six on Audible. I've already read this book, I've also watched the series, but I had to listen on Audible because I just needed an audiobook to listen to, and I thought, you know what, I've always wanted to listen to Daisy Jones and the Six. The casting, incredible. The voice actors were so good, so good. Daisy Jones and the Six is actually my favourite book of all time. Daisy Jones and the Six is my favourite book of all time. Taylor Jenkins Reid is my favourite author of all time. So I gave this 5 stars, obviously. Listening to this, I have said this to so many people, but in school, did you ever have to read, watch, listen, act out of Mice and Men? Or, you know, whatever you did in school for English? Well, we had to do with Mice and Men. And we read the book twice. We read it on our own. Then we read it as a class where we would literally read like a paragraph each. That took ages. And then we listened to the audiobook, and then we watched the movie. And that's what listening and reading and watching all the different formats of Daisy Jones and the Six felt like. But not in a bad way, not in a school way. Like, that's what it just reminded me of. Does that make any sense? I'm not going to talk about this anymore because everyone knows how much I love it. And then finally in June, I read Layla on my Kindle, Layla by Colleen Hoover. This book was like an acid trip. It was the most bizarre book. I think I gave it 3.5 stars. Oh no, I've stuck between a 3.75 and a 4 for this one, but I think I'd probably go for 3.5, 3.75. It was just bizarre. Colleen Hoover books are very easy to get through. I read this whilst I was on a night shift at Glastonbury Festival. And I just needed something quick and easy to read on my Kindle, so I chose this book. It's about a woman called Layla and her husband, I think he is, and they go to look at a new house at this old bed and breakfast. I've read this overnight pretty much in one sitting, so my mind's a bit fuzzy with this book. Basically, they start talking to ghosts. They start talking to this ghost, and the end is just bizarre. I don't want to spoil anything, but if you've ever watched Behind Her Eyes or read Behind Her Eyes, whatever happens at the end of that is what this book reminds me of, without giving anything away, if that makes sense. Yeah, I wasn't a massive fan of this one. This is one of my least favourite Colleen Hoover book I've read, but I'm glad I read it because I am happy to be making my way through her backlist. I probably wouldn't recommend it. It was odd. Like, it was odd. The guy gets into a relationship with a ghost. Pretty much. I mean, not really, but kind of. I don't want to talk about it. And then the only book I read in July was this book that took me 3.5 weeks, actually 4 weeks to read. Bet you weren't expecting that. Bet you weren't expecting me to say this book took me 4 weeks to read. I started it at the end of June, and I started at the end of June. I ended up giving this 4.25 stars, I believe. Oh no, I just gave it a flat 4 stars. I am so disappointed because I was really expecting to give this 5 stars, and I didn't. I gave it 4. 4's still a really good rating, but I think it was just very overhyped in my opinion. I think it just took me too long to get through. Like, I wasn't interested in picking up. Every time I did pick it up, I would literally read a chapter and then put it down again because I was getting bored. The ending was really good. Once I actually got into it, I was loving it, but everything up to that point was a bit of a drag. Powerless is very Hunger Games and Red Queen inspired. I haven't read Red Queen. I've read Hunger Games, but so many books are inspired by the Hunger Games. Hunger Games isn't even an original concept, so that doesn't bother me so much. Why is my plat doing that? It's about a kingdom where there's elites and ordinaries. Elites all have powers. You get the mundane elites, the fatal elites, and then just the standard elites. And then you have the ordinaries, who are all banished from the kingdom. They've all been executed because they have no powers. They were born powerless, and it's rumoured that, well, it's not rumoured, the king has told the people of Ilia, which is where the kingdom is, that ordinaries basically plague the elites, and they've got disease and they weaken their powers. Hayden is an ordinary posing as a mundane elite. She's posing as a psychic. No one's heard of psychic elites before, so she kind of gets away with posing as one because nobody really knows what they entail. But she's thrown into the purging trials, and the purging trials are basically like the Hunger Games. There's only one winner. You don't have to kill. So the Hunger Games, obviously everybody dies and there can only be one actual winner, but with purging trials people don't have to die, but they are very brutal. She gets thrown into that because she saves Prince Kai from something, and the people of Ilia nominated her to go into the purging trials, and she's shitting herself because she's not an elite. She has absolutely zero power, whereas all the other people in the purging trials have power. It's good. It was good. The trials didn't interest me in the slightest. Like, I was expecting way more from these trials. Towards the end they got more fun, but I think the first trial especially was such a drag to read, such a drag. But regardless, I gave it 4 stars. A little sneak peek into my August wrap up, because I am filming this in August. Powerful, the novella after this book. Loved. Absolutely loved. So these were all the books that I read in months of June and July. If you want to keep up to date with the books I read in real time, please follow me on TikTok and Instagram and Goodreads. The links are down below, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.